And hello, party people. Welcome back to another NRW video. That's right, another review for all our fans in internet land and beyond. I'm your host, David Estacado, and I'm here with my buddy from Another Nutty, the one and only Rob, the movie guy. What's good, Rob?
What's going on, everybody? Hey, thank you very much for joining us here, and I'm doing very well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I can't complain. I'm trying to get hyped for this review. I've been hyped for this, man. We've been waiting for quite some time. You know, for this episodes, they're coming out weekly now. I was hoping that we can binge it, but we have to wait every week. And you know, I know we're a little late on this review, but hey, better late than never. And here's Rob. You want to get into it?
I think we should. So we're going to get into episode 4 here of The Boys season 2. And like David has said, we are a little behind here, but there's a reason for that here because we're actually trying to make sure that we got all the aspects of the episode covered here because there's a lot to consume here and quite a few things that we probably may have missed out the first viewing and we watch in the second viewing and so on. So without further ado, let's start off with the big elephant in the room here for episode 4, which is the further introduction here of the character we have in the background there in Stormfront here. We get a little bit of a backstory with her to a degree here, which involves Starlight, Huey, and Mother's Milk doing a little bit of research on this former hero by the name of Liberty, and then they come to find out that through the findings of this one individual who has knowledge of whose Liberty is, she comes to reveal that it's actually Stormfront, and there's a whole story behind that where her brother was murdered. And we come to find out that this Liberty superhero is actually a racist, and we come to find out through further actions along with Stormfront now that this is the same person that we all come to find out. So it's there's a lot of history behind that character that we come to find out as the show progresses here. But with that, we also get a little more insight on Becca and Butch's relationship as well too. Homelander still
you're getting like three different 4 stories going on at the same time.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's
actually you kind of divided pretty well, I think.
Yeah, and you kind of see that comparison because like you kind of see the kind of the main thread line here is Homelander and his connection to everyone else and everything that's going on, and how he's kind of put some fear into Starlight here, Annie. And you kind of see a contrast between Annie and Huey's relationship and Becca's and Butch's relationship, and how they're kind of reunited almost, so to speak. Same thing with Huey and Annie. And as Rob was going to go segue into, you kind of do see a little bit where we finally get what Butcher finally gets what he wanted, finally get to see Becca and be with Becca and see if he can help Becca out, which becomes with a little bit of complications.
Yeah, and we already knew that Becca has a son with Homelander. I believe the kid's name was Ryan, if I'm not mistaken, right? So we also find out that he's also a hero, a superpower individual himself. Yeah, there's really so much to absorb here. But I think for me, the best thing about the show, about this episode, I should say, was that I agree 100% with what you said. You're basically getting different point of views of how relationships with some of the main characters here, how they parallel with all the other relationships that are going on at that episode as well too. We get one.
It was kind of like the main
Maeve
theme
and
for this
Homelander.
episode. Yeah,
Maeve and Homelander is another one. And also Maeve and her girlfriend as well too. That's another parallel that you can also make in comparison as well. So
and Frenchie and Kimiko as well.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Frenchie's trying so hard. Trying to get Kimiko's affection and trying to get her to open up and keeping her from doing a one-man war against Stormfront herself.
Yeah.
So he's really been trying.
And here's another comparison too, where while everyone in some way has a relationship with one individual or another here, we also have the deep story also introduced in this episode as well too, where they're trying to find a partner for him, and so the whole episode, if you really think about it, it's really about how each couple is dealing with their relationship. and some do it better than others. Some are not really prepared to really delve in deep with the relationship. Others are not really that committed because of the other person's, I guess,
point of
view and how they want to handle certain things along the way. It's a very, very conflicting situation for everybody to be in that episode when it comes to relationship. And of course, another big one that comes to mind too is the relationship that's starting to develop in this episode between Homelander and Stormfront. So there's a lot that's being built up, and there's a lot that's being broken down here when it comes to the relationship. A lot of these characters here, and so I gotta say that with what we get to see with everyone here, you have Huey and Starlight, who have a pretty good reunion for the most part, and then by the end of it, she's like, it's not going to work out. We've got to go our separate way. And obviously, Huey's still, he's still very much in love with her and finds a lot of things that he found in common with her, and that she has in common with him. Their love for Billy Joel music was a big one for him, because of his previous girlfriend didn't really care for Billy Joel's music, but now he found someone who does, and then of course you also have Butcher and Becca's relationship, where they want to be back together and they're trying to escape together, but the moment that the child is involved, his views behind the child is pretty much like, he's no good, we've got to take him out of the equation, where she's like, no, he's my son and I want him to be part of the family. He doesn't really necessarily carry that same set of values that she does because of the type of child that he is and who the child father is as well. Mm-hmm. And then of course we also have Maeve and Homelander's relationship, where that was kind of like a weird relationship as it was already. But the fact that Maeve has a secret relationship with her girlfriend, that comes out to the public due to Homelander's revelation of that relationship, because they were being questioned on.
Which kind of contrasts through Huey and Starlight's relationship, where like it's just too dangerous, it's too much of a liability. And if Homelander to find out any of these relationships are going on, it'll drive him even more to the edge. Who knows what he'll do if he finds out about Becca and Butcher, if he finds out about even more about May, because he's already trying to manipulate that. He's going to either trying to find a way to manipulate it or destroy it.
Right, and so, but Starlight's position in that is that it's for the safety of everyone. We should not do this here, and it made sense. But obviously, he was like, "No, we can make." This is why, like, I was so annoyed with Huey in this season, because I'm like, God, listen, guys, listen, Huey, you got stop. And everyone is telling him, don't do this. Be very careful. You're walking on thin ice here. You're really taking some really serious risk here that can put everyone in danger, including that girl. And he's like, don't worry, it's fine. Like, he's really that naive when it comes to how the relationship can be handled there between them. And the one smart person, and out of everyone, it's a woman that's telling him no, and he should listen, but he obviously doesn't want to listen, and I understand why. But
you gotta admit, Huey does bring some kind of humanity.
It's true. Huey is a guy that, I mean, Huey to me is the glue that's keeping everyone together. Like, you're seeing the separation of, the friction between Billy and all the other boys in this season here. Like, everyone just has a stark contrast from where they started in the first season to where they are this season here, and everyone's trying to do their own thing, but they know they can't, and they have to rely on each other here. So it's kind of it's a weird it's weird, but it's good to see that friction there and how they're trying to, and you're going to see how, at least we hope they do, to learn to overcome that.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, this whole episode, I never thought about it until you actually really started delving into it here, about the parallels of all these relationships and how they're being handled here.
And even the surprise relationship at the beginning and at the end of the episode, which we won't dive into, because that's more of a mindfuck as well. Just Homelander's visit to his previous, I guess, surrogate mother / lover.
Let's just get into it here, because I think that's an interesting one too, because that's the end of our relationship, that he's holding on to something that's not there anymore, but he's refusing to let it go, because obviously this
comforts him, and oddly enough.
Yeah, and that was a character played by Elizabeth Shue, and we have Doppelganger pretty much turning into her for the lengths of time that he needs to for Homelander. It's a weird thing there, but it's like a.
Well, it's funny because like his relationship with Stormfront, I think starts budding around at this time, even though he still hates her.
Yeah.
She pushes these buttons and kind of makes him kind of realizes like you're always after the love and affection of others or people that it makes you weak.
Yeah.
So it's kind of goes up to the send off.
So and that's the thing about with Stormfront. She automatically notices that this guy is so weak-minded, even though he's literally the strongest person, if not in the entire world, certainly in the group. But he is so dependent on others to make himself feel really good, and he's looking for the adulation and the attention to make himself look like he is this the spectacle of a human being, where he is doing all these great things, and that's enough for him to make himself feel satisfied that I'm doing something good, and I'm gonna. And but clearly he's a prick, and he's very selfish. He's very manipulative. He's very controlling. He's not. He's definitely manipulative, but he's only doing it out of. I don't think he's a good manipulator. Like let's say in this case, Stormfront here. Stormfront is really obviously changing the momentum for everybody here, especially with Homelander. And she uses certain situations and certain media platforms to change the narrative of the group, and then tries to get something out of Homelander, because I think what she's trying to notice here in this episode is that this guy is weak-minded, but I can get him where I want him to be, because she knows that she can have this guy at her will, if you will, to really keep him in line with what she probably has a motive to do here, whatever her motivations are going to be here. But at the same time, you also notice that the things that used to matter to Homelander are somewhat starting to shed off the weight off his shoulders here. You can start to see that, okay, she's got a point. I got to take that into consideration. And you can slowly start to see that development for that character there. So there's a lot going on in this episode here, because you've got about 50 different stories going on at once, and each individual character has something going on for them. But there's always a hurdle that they have to overcome here. I can go on about that, but anything else?
That's perfect, because it kind of sets up like these upcoming episodes. Like, where's it going to go? Especially with the reveal that she's Liberty. And how long has she been hiding that, and who she really is? And if anything was going close to the comics, I feel like that's where they're headed. Especially with that big speech that Stan gave earlier when he put Homelander in his place, talking about Vought and its Nazi roots. It has to. And that's what I'm looking forward to, see if they're going to go in that direction.
Yeah.
That being said, the Deep kind of bringing in some kind of comedic relief throughout these tension-filled situations with his little interviews that he does for his wife, or
potential wife.
His potential wife, and how the collective is kind of manipulating him somehow, some way through, you chose, kind of pushing that, which is really, really great. Especially considering the choice he wanted to make, being the same old Deep that he used to be.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't think there's anything bad I can say about that episode either. I'm not sure if
so far out of this 4 seasons, I think it's probably the best one so far, because you had so many character interactions. Yeah. You actually got see some more character development. You got some characters that never really introduced with each other, kind of interact. You have that kind of heartfelt scene with Mother's Milk and Storm. And Starlight. You kind of see that road trip, kind of the relationship kind of building throughout that road trip, how they kind of learn a little bit more about each other. You finally get to see a softer side of Butcher almost when it comes to Becca, and then kind of a heartbroken one afterwards. So you get so much stuff going on, and then you get that weird. Again, you get to see the kind of into the head of a Homelander in regards to what he does to cope, and then finally realizing he killed that part of himself, quite literally and figuratively, at the end of the episode.
Yeah, and one other thing we almost forgot to mention too is that Homelander is also removing A-Train from the 7 as well too. So that's another turn of events.
That's a side plot there going on.
Yeah, and I'm obviously that's going to carry on to the next set of episodes here. So you're definitely seeing a change of course for for the group and for pretty much everybody else. I mean, there's a lot going on in the show. And one thing I wanted to point out here too is that the character development here in this season, granted, it's a you have multiple episodes to have enough time to develop these characters, but just in this episode alone, the development that occurs is done so well. Why can't most movies pull that off? And
such a fast pace.
Yeah,
like just within an hour or so time frame, you get all this, and it's like so much we wanted to cover. I'm like, we can't really touch upon on everything, but man, was it impactful. You know, you're going to see these repercussions, feel these repercussions next coming episodes.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, I think that's it for this episode, guys. Yeah. If you have any more stuff you want to get into, who would you decide for Deep to have as his wife? Do you think he made a good decision who he picked? Do you think that Homelander is going to go even crazier next episode? And do you think they're actually going to go towards the ways of the comic books when it comes to Stormfront? Let us know in the comments below. Rob, where else can they follow us?
Well, you can follow us on our social media accounts here. We have a Facebook and a Instagram page, which is simply at New Release Wednesdays, and on Twitter at the NRW. You can follow myself on my social media page here on Instagram, Rob_Medina0585, on Twitter, RobMedina0585, and on Facebook, simply just Rob Movie Guy here. And my buddy from Another Nutty over there, where can they follow you, sir?
You can follow me on my social media on Instagram and on my Twitter, David is Disaster. You can follow me on personal media page on Facebook on David A. Estacado. We'll talk about anything else, pop culture, memes, wrestling, and you see me get into it with Rob every now and then. If you like what we're doing, please check out what the rest of the NRW crew is doing. We do everything else from video games, movies, comic books. We and Rob can't handle it all as much as we love to, because trust me, we want to get into everything because we just love these shows and everything else that's coming out there. The rest of our NRW crew is hardworking at everything else regarding everything else pop culture. So definitely take a look at that. And don't forget, like Rob said, hit that like and subscribe button. We're trying to get those numbers popping up as much as we can. Yep. Trying to get as many subscribers, and you guys are awesome for bringing up those numbers with the past few views.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Anything else you want us to get into, if you want to get into it with us regarding these episodes, please feel free to reach out to us here on the channel or at our social media page. Heck, we might even do this live sometime, so we'll see.
One day, right? All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us here today. We do appreciate your time here and for your viewership on the show. You have yourself a wonderful day, and remember, be safe out there, and cheers.
Cheers.
Boys S2 E04.